Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? It's almost time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. So here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, Vince fam? So good to see you guys and have you back virtually, as it were. It's good to be back in the studio. We were off last week for the 4th of July holiday. Hope everyone came back with all their fingers and toes and had a great time. Listen, before we jump into this, huge shout out, Expert Professional Wood Care Products, for sponsoring the live. Caleb, Ashley, and the whole team continue to amaze us with their customer service. We just got another order of staying in. It was shipped quickly, and we got exactly what we ordered, which nowadays maybe it means something to get exactly what you ordered the first time. So if you guys are interested in staining wood fence, we've had a massive success pre-staining lumber. Reach out to them. They also, through Go for Wood, sell pre-stained lumber. So if you'd like to offer pre-stain but don't want to worry about making a mess, check out Go for Wood. Caleb, Ashley, and the group will take great care of you like they take great care of me. Thank you to the team for sponsoring the live and being a great partner in the fencing industry. If you guys read the description, you know who I'm bringing on. But I almost forgot to shout out the podcasters. If you guys are listening to a podcast, to this as a podcast, thank you so much. You are listening to a recorded version of a live conversation I host most Saturdays. 10 a.m. Central is the start time. 11-ish as an out time. We wrap up the conversation when it makes sense to wrap up the conversation. Sometimes an hour, sometimes it's more. But welcome. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Like I said, if you'd like to listen to us live, participate in the questions and answers. We answer questions live every Saturday, 10 a.m. Central. Search Joe Everest on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you watch video content. There's a good chance the live video is going on there. So be sure to join us live. Also, if you're listening, the team tells me it makes a huge difference. If you like it, give us a review. Let us know exactly what you think of the podcast. It would help a lot, and we appreciate it a lot. All right. With that being said, if you guys read the description, you know exactly who we're having on. Luke Bailey with the West Coast Fence Show. I don't know, stumbled on my words. It's like I've taken a few weeks off here, Luke. How are you?
Good. How you doing this morning?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. So, Luke, first and foremost, West Coast Fence Show.
Coming up.
That's the thing. It's crazy to think it's going to be right around the corner. So, here we are, mid-July at this point, and we're talking early September. So, just as soon as you blink, it'll be on us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We talk about that every Monday when I come into the office and go into my dad's office. It's right around the corner. It's fast. It's coming faster than you think. So, I mean, it's less than 60 days away at this point.
Yeah, less than 60. Well, that puts it in perspective. I was just thinking, like, you know what? I probably ought to make arrangements for this. We probably, as I'm telling other people to make it. Here's the thing, Luke, and you understand this. You're a third-generation fence guy. Just like you understand how fence guys think. 60 days is like, listen, I'm worried about what we're doing like 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now. Like, that's the way my mind works. It's about a 2 or 3 week block of time at a time. But
man, that's long-term.
But we gotta pause and make some long-term plans, like 2 months from now, West Coast Fence Show. Because if you don't, probably a couple things are going to happen. I'm assuming here, discounted rooms are available right now.
Yep,
that probably ends sooner rather than later.
August 6th. So
August 6th.
It's only a couple weeks. It's the promo code is CWCF24.
Okay.
So if you call and make your room reservations at the Peppermill, use that code CWCF24, and that'll get you your room up until August 6th. That'll get you that rate.
Right.
That's one thing I definitely wanted to bring up, because we see the registration numbers and the hotel room numbers, and they're not quite lining up.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Not that we're behind on anything, but
right.
I want to make sure everybody gets that discounted rate.
Yeah, it just looks odd with a bunch of registrants and not a lot of hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Like, well, you guys can't sleep on the floor. You got to sleep somewhere here. You better make these arrangements.
Well, there's always someone that's, calling us, September 4th. Hey, how do I get that room rate? You're a little late.
Well, you go back in the time
and
you make it back in July, and then you got the room rate.
Yeah, perfect.
Very good. So it's going to be at the Peppermill there in Reno. I was talking to, we were down in Tampa talking to the folks at Nationwide Industries. I was talking to one of the gentlemen there, and he had said he'd been to the facility, hadn't been to West Coast Fence Show yet. So we're on the subject of just, hey, where am I going? Where are they going? Where should they go? That maybe they don't know where that. So West Coast Fence Show came up. He goes, yeah, we're headed there. He said, I've been to the Peppermill, a great facility. He said, I haven't been to the show yet, excited to go. But he said the Peppermill is just by itself a great facility.
Oh, yeah. The Peppermill, I mean, we were just up there for a site visit last month, and we actually left and went to Shields, which is a local, I'm not sure if that's a nationwide thing or it's basically a giant sporting goods store that sells everything, from golf clubs to cornhole boards to guns and ammo and fishing gear. They sell everything. And, they're about 10 minutes away. But we went to that just to get out of the hotel because there was so much to do. We need to feel the sun on our face for.
We got to go outside for a little while.
Yeah, where there's the real world out there. So
very nice.
Peppermill's a great place. Great restaurants. Their steakhouse there is awesome. I love their the Italian restaurant there is very, very good.
Okay.
Unfortunately, after COVID, they closed down their buffet, which was amazing. But
Yeah.
COVID has changed.
One of the many COVID casualties.
Yeah.
All sorts of. It's never the same afterwards.
Yeah, definitely changed some things.
So, but obviously gaming there. I mean, it's in it's in Reno. You got a bunch of gaming going on.
There's gaming. It's sorry, I got my cat up here.
That's okay. Join the conversation, Kitty.
Yeah, it's obviously there's gaming there. There's I'd like to say it's fun, but I never leave there with more money than I came with. So,
well, the way I look at it, you pay for entertainment no matter where you're going to go. You're going to go to a movie, you're going to pay. Me and the family just got back from a little vacation, and you pay for every piece of entertainment you partake in. So that's kind of how I view gaming. Is like, all right, what number am I comfortable paying for tonight's entertainment? And when that money's gone, it's like, well, guys, had a great time. Appreciate it. Didn't last as long as I thought it would, but we'll see you tomorrow, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but it's a great facility. I mean, there's nothing bad I could say about it.
Now, when we were talking last time, we were talking that the show floor just expanded because there's so much vendor interest in being there. Had to expand to try to get. How's the show floor looking now?
Show floor is looking great. We've got a couple booths left. Kind of scattered around now. I'm actually looking. Of course, my screen went dark just as we started talking about it. I think there's one 10 by 20 left, and then a couple little scattered 10 by 10s throughout. So,
nice.
We're fully expecting to sell out. And
so if you're a vendor that's watching and you haven't reached out, now is the time.
Absolutely. And
it's 10 by 10s and 10 by 20. So it's a good year to get your foot in the door then.
Yeah.
But
we expanded the floor about a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's just been. I mean, we've been selling booths almost daily. It seems like.
Nice.
Get a couple, or someone calling about them saying, "Hey, I'm going to," and it's gotten to the point where we say, "Well, it's it's no longer you're going to. You're gonna have to get in there."
Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to pull the trigger.
Same thing with the room block and the code for the room block.
Well, it doesn't last forever.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's like I said, fence guys, though, it's always a few weeks in the future. So, and we talked about that a little bit last time about the golf tournament. Right. Mm-hmm. So the golf tournament is coming up. It's is it Thursday? Is that right?
It's Thursday. Yeah.
So the Midwest AFA chapter, we put on a golf tournament, and it's always, we start talking about it now for this fall. Right. But there's always that phone call like, hey, can we get on? Can we get it? I got a team. Like, well, yeah, I mean, we tee off in an hour. So like, I hope you're here. Like,
In 21, I had a team call me as I was driving to the course that morning, asking if there was still room. And luckily there was still room because we had somebody not come. So we were able to fit them in and accommodate it. But so you didn't think, we've been advertising this thing pretty hard for.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for a while here.
So, but it's expected.
This is also your call to action if you'd like to golf in the tournament on Thursday. That now would be a great time to make those arrangements as well. Yeah, there's still a little bit of room left. That's selling pretty quick too. I've seen a real big uptick in that, which is expected. And right about now, what I found is it's when vendors are finding out who they're sending. So they're starting to make those accommodations. So that makes sense.
There's still a little bit of room there, and there's still some sponsorships available. So. Any of those things, do those all at the website.
Tell us a little bit more about the golf tournament. So it's offsite.
It's offsite. Okay. It's about 35 minutes north. It's in a town called Portola. It's actually back in California. So if you've never been to California, you can come to West Coast Fence Show and scratch Nevada and California off the map that everybody has on their wall of the states they've been to.
Very nice. Yep.
It's just inside the California border. It's in the mountains. Beautiful course. It's actually rated in the top 10 for courses in California.
Very nice.
It's a Grizzly Ranch golf course. Beautiful course. I'd play there every day if I could.
Yep.
But it's going to be a shotgun start. We're going to start at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And
scramble format, I'm assuming.
Scramble format, yeah. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a scratch golfer to come out there and score well.
It's a good thing. I do well at scramble tournaments. I do because we use at least 2 or 3 of my shots throughout the round. It's about where I'm at right now. By our golf balls by the case, not necessarily by the box. So
I know a guy out here in California buys them by the pallet. Golf balls.
Not a bad idea, actually. You probably get the price on those down by quite a lot. I might golf more because every time I just really slice one off in the woods, I'm like, oh, that was X amount of dollars. Like, oh, this round cost me more than the greens fees. I'll tell you that right now. But so golfers of all skill levels are welcome.
All skill levels. It's a fun time, and we divide it up into flights so that there's not just 3 winners at the top. We have 120 golfers and only 12 people win. So we divided it up into flights so there's multiple winners throughout. In 2021, we the top 3 in each flight won a prize, and then all the other teams per flight, I just put their scorecard in a hat and had my son pull one, and they won a prize too. So just randomize it, just keep it fun. I mean, it's nobody's going to be, going straight from that to a PGA event. So.
Yeah. No one's qualifying for like some pro-am tournament here or anything like that.
Yeah. No. So it's just trying to have some fun and, just get out there. And like I say, get outside, be in the sun for a little bit.
Well, yeah. And one of the things we were talking before we went on air just about, whether it's an event like this or whether it's like an on the road training or any of this, a decent portion of the value is simply the networking, meeting new people, or just continuing ongoing relationships, just reconnecting with people you haven't seen in a year, or longer if you've just missed each other at shows. So, and I mean, the thing I love about golf tournaments is it's 4 or 5 hours of just conversations and catching up and learning new things about people that maybe you've never heard before, that sort of thing. It's almost like forced networking. Like you guys are hanging out for a handful of hours here. You better get to know each other.
You guys are in this cart driving. Yeah. And that's before the 19th hole afterwards.
Right. That's the warm up to the networking that comes later.
Yeah, exactly. And this year we're doing something a little different. We're going to do a shootout. So what that's going to look like is at the beginning, we're going to sell raffle tickets, and then 4 of those tickets are going to get drawn. And then on the 18th hole, those 4 people that get drawn go back 150 yards and take one shot from 150 yards. And if they sink it, it's a $50,000 prize. But everybody will be standing around that green watching you. So there's no pressure at all.
Right.
There'll be no heckling. Everybody will be quiet. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say, if I happen to get chosen, the safest place to be will not be around that green. Behind me is more safe than in front of me. I'm not saying it's safe. It's just more safe.
I've always said when I'm playing golf with my friends, and the safest place for me is at the pin, because that's where you're aiming, and that's definitely not where you're going.
That's it. That's probably the one safe place. Yeah,
one place you guys never hit.
Well, so guys, if you're interested in the golfing tournament, even if you're not a scratch golfer, you'll find a place there. Be sure to sign up for it as well. How many spots are you looking to fill? I mean, how large is the tournament?
We can fit up to 120.
Okay.
And in 2021, we sold out. Everybody was really eager to get out in 2021. There's something that happened the year before. I can't remember. But
yeah,
I think people were for a while. So people were really eager to get out in 2021. But we're expecting to sell out again this year.
Nice. So. Yeah. Sooner's better than later, Fence guys. So book your rooms early, and while you're at it, go ahead and register for the golf tournament. Registration on the website?
Registration's on the website. Everything, you can do everything on the website. You can sign up for classes. You can sign up for golf, purchase sponsorships if you'd like to. Okay. Or sign up for, just to walk the show floor.
There it is.
There, found it. You can do all that on the website. So.
Very good. Let's talk about sponsorship opportunities for just a minute. What does a sponsorship opportunity look like for West Coast Fence Show?
There's a couple of different ways that you can sponsor. There's obviously signage. There's, we have paw prints. We have signs throughout the Peppermill, throughout the resort for the golf tournament. There's a tee sponsorship where we put your company, sign up on the tee box. Yeah. You can sponsor the longest drive, the closest to the hole. We have a couple of shuttles that are going to be taking people because it's so far away. We have these, big buses that are going, so you can sponsor those. You can sponsor the lunches for people. Well,
Nice.
so there's all kinds of ways to sponsor. We'll put your name wherever you want it.
But it sounds like there's opportunities from just kind of like really entry level sponsorship all the way to a full blown put your name everywhere sort of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can go anywhere from having a bus named after you to having your fence company represented on a tee box. So,
nice.
And that's just in golf. And
sure,
there's the other sponsorships that are the signage at the front entrance of the show.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of LED screens and columns around the Peppermill that are all, you put your logos, put whatever, basically pretty much what you want on there, within limits, obviously. But
right.
There's there's a lot of sponsorship opportunities, and we make sure that you're seen throughout the event if you take a sponsorship opportunity.
Very nice, guys. If you're looking for the website, we've got it in the chat below. If you're listening to the podcast, check out the recorded version of these live conversations that are on any of the video platforms. We've got the link to the website in the chat or in the comments section, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So check that out.
Yeah, and it's just westcoastfenceshow.com for anybody.
Perfect.
Just plug it in. Real easy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
you bet.
Try to keep it easy.
So now, for those that aren't interested in golfing, it sounds like you guys have something in the works. Mm-hmm. Probably going to announce it next week after you finalize a few details.
Yeah, we pretty much finalized most of it. Okay. It was brought to our attention during a call. We had all the chapter presidents on, and Tracy and Terry from the Pacific Northwest and Rocky Mountain, brought up, well, what if you're not a golfer? And
fair.
I've been playing golf since I was 5. So what do you mean? What if you're not a golfer?
Sure.
And, my dad's played his whole life, so it's we're kind of a golf family. So it was really good to get that different perspective of just like, hey, what are we missing? Yeah. So Tracy and they got together and they planned this outing Thursday at the same time as golf, and it's going to be in downtown Reno. It's an escape room and a axe throwing bar across the street, so it'd be both.
Nice.
And it's an opportunity if you're not a golfer to go network, because I guess how it came up was in a women in fence meeting. Some people brought up, we want to network too, but we don't get to play golf. So
right.
So that's what we're doing. And AFA's Women in Fence is partnering in that as well. They're involved in it. So, but it's not just for women in fence; it's for anybody who wants to go.
Yeah, just an alternate to the golfing now.
Yeah,
golf outing.
And the escape room is about 2 miles from the Peppermill, so it's pretty close.
Easy.
And it's right there downtown. There's the river walk is right there. If you've never been to the Reno River Walk, it's pretty cool. We get to see I believe it's the Truckee River, flows right through Reno, and it's just basically you and a guardrail between you and this river. But
very nice.
Tons of stuff to do down there. There's obviously gaming in downtown Reno, but there's I think the axe throwing and the escape rooms is a really good way just to network, get to know people, and just hang out. And I believe there'll be some prizes for fastest team and most accurate axe. Like
yeah, very good. Well, do the axe throwing first, so that way just bring one of those with you. If you can't get out of the room, just you got some tools with you to get out of there.
There you go. Chop away.
I've never been in an escape room, but I'm sure that's probably how that works.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's just what they want.
So even if you're not a golfer, a great networking opportunity before the show gets started to meet some folks, maybe see some familiar faces, so that as you're walking into the show, you're already walking in knowing a handful of folks and already experiencing the fencing industry there at the West Coast Fence Show.
Yeah, and I mean that's really what this is about, is getting people together and creating those bonds and the networking opportunities. That's what this is all about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. So another aspect of this is going to be the educational series that you guys are putting on as well. Mm-hmm. There's also a big announcement that we talked about before the show as far as the education goes there as well. Actually, a comment I saw, the one, the only, Mr. Thorton Fence Consulting Group, Tony Thornton himself, says, excited to be a part of this great event. So how exactly is Tony a part of the West Coast Fence Show?
Well, Tony, he'll be there. He has a booth there. He's doing his 7 strategy class, which I'm sure people have heard about.
Absolutely.
But we were looking through the education schedule, and we were noticing it was really it was kind of operator heavy, kind of automation heavy.
Sure.
So we went through and we added 3 new classes that Tony, I believe, Brad's going to be involved, and some other some other people in the industry that are pretty well known. I'm not sure exactly who they are yet, so we're waiting for.
Brad said Titans. I think Titans was the word he used. Titans in the industry. So
I believe it was too, but I didn't want to misquote Brad. So
well, I'll just say I'll paraphrase. I believe that's what's said. That's the spirit of the message.
But there's going to be classing on budgeting and forecasting.
Sure.
How to increase your profit margins, and how to transition from residential to commercial effectively.
Those 2 jumped out at me. So the one course was, I believe it, budgeting and forecasting without a crystal ball.
Yes.
Right. Like how to more accurately. I mean, listen, we as a company are going through that right now. I think every company coming out of the COVID era is trying to relearn what this looks like, how to budget and forecast now. Maybe not budgeting, but forecasting.
Yeah.
Right. So we would always look at, either we'd have a few models, previous years, previous quarters, in different aspects, whether it's residential or commercial or sales. So, but now it's previous 3 years. Well, those, they were real, but they weren't real as far as like quarterly percentages of yearly earnings or however you want to look at it. It's like, well, we ought to look at it because there's some measure of truth there, but we can't use a previous 3-year model to try to forecast the next year because it was just different. There were constraints.
3 years.
People were home. They were being given money to spend, and they were spending it on their homes. And as fence folks, we love that. Like, you know what? They were getting dogs. They were getting pet because they can't go out, so they're trying to bring companions in. And 3 things keep a fence company in business: it's kids, it's pets, and it's bad neighbors. Yeah. So I'm home all the time, and my neighbor's home all the time, and I like him better when he's at work. So if he's home all the time, I think a privacy fence would look really good right there, sort of thing. So business was not typical during that period of time. So I'm interested to sit in on that class to hopefully – we talked about this a little bit too before the call. I should just stop talking before the call, like before these lives, and just leave it all for the live. But about going – we were talking about the fence installation training. I went to an on-the-road training. You were talking about you went to the full week of the – what was it? It was called something different at the time, right?
It was the field training school in Athens, Georgia. I believe it was 2005. It was the last year it was in Athens.
Yeah.
It was a great experience.
But we were laughing about like how others in our company were like, why again are you going? Like if you need fence experience, we've got crews right now that are building fence that you could jump right on. They would love the help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not necessarily that you don't know, right? It's picking up something in addition to maybe a new way or new technique, or to your point, maybe a new way of using a tool or a new homemade jig or something like that. I say all that to say I view the education series like that, right? Yeah. So just because we've got a decent handle on budgeting and forecasting doesn't mean I can't go sit in on that class and pick out 2 or 3 tidbits to bring back to the team. Say, hey, what if we tweaked how we looked at this? What if we forecasted a little bit differently? Let's add this other model to see how accurate it is, run it in parallel with our others, and just see what comes out. Yeah. I think you could look at all this in the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something that I've always, that's kind of been my big thing with, not just with education, but with like the AFA chapter, going to my chapter level. I leave every meeting and I've learned something new, and you can definitely pick that up there, but you can pick it up, here it's designed to give you something new.
Sure.
It's, if you sit in a meeting and don't get anything new, then, that's too bad, but I don't think that'll happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I've never had it happen to me.
And sometimes that's the willingness to learn too.
Yeah.
Right. And I haven't heard this comment lately, but years ago, you'd hear a comment maybe about just joining an association, right? Is like, well, and so the comment that stuck with me is like, well, I went to a FinTech years ago and I really didn't get anything out of it. So I'm just not going to go back. Well, if you went to any show like this, West Coast Fin Show, and don't get anything out of it, that might speak more to the lack of willingness to pick up on new things than it was the show itself. You get out what you put in, sort of thing.
Yeah. No,
if you walk the show with arms crossed, you don't talk to anybody, there's a good chance you're not going to meet anybody new. Right. But I was talking to a guy a while ago and he's like, man, I just don't know. Like, he was a new guy in the industry. And I was like, well, fine. I'm pretty hard to miss. Like, if you find a guy in an orange shirt, there's a decent chance it's me. And we can strike up a conversation and we'll walk the floor together. I don't mind. Yeah. But I said, here's the way. Here's the way you'll meet all the fence guys you ever need to know. In the middle, just get in a group of people and say something to the effect of, you know what, I wish I was I wish I lived down south where the digging's easy. I got rocks in my neck of the woods. Those guys have it good. You'll have 50 or 60 new friends that either want to tell you how you're wrong or that they agree with you or that, oh yeah, well, it's not just rock. Here we've got clay or we've got this. Like, okay, everyone's got it rough, and so all you got to do is just say somebody's got it easy because they don't deal with rock. And then, like I said, you'll meet 50 or 60 new fence contractors almost immediately.
Oh, absolutely. And and like you said, you'll have 50 or 60 to agree with you, and you'll have 50 or 60 to disagree with you and say why it's easier to get through rock, I guess.
That's right. Oh yeah, I wish I had rock. Oh, listen to what I've got. Oh, you just don't know the life I live. I've got sand. Have you ever tried? Like, well, I don't know. I'm not here to pick that fight either. Yeah, I'm just saying that's a really good way to meet new people is tell somebody they've got it easy.
Yeah.
But you get out what you put in.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you go into the educational series looking for that one tidbit, if you go into it saying to yourself, I know I'm going to get 3 to 5 new pieces of information. It used to be a pad and paper. Now I just take my iPad with the notes section. But if I've got that ready to go, I say, all right, let's find these 3 to 5 pieces of information. It's all in what you look for, right? So you'll walk out of there with at least 3 to 5. But if you go in there thinking, well, I've done this before and I don't know what these guys could possibly teach me, there's a good chance you're going to walk out there thinking that. And
there's, some of the instructors that we have that it'd be hard to not learn something from these guys. There's a lot of years in those rooms.
Using Tony Thornton just as an example, because he's the most recent guy we're talking to. Talking to a guy that he's been on the installation side. He's been on the distribution side. He's been on, obviously, the association side. He's worked in so many different aspects. And through the association, he's got experience in all sorts of areas in the industry. If he doesn't know the answer, he knows who knows the answer. Yeah. Right. So to sit in on his talks, like, one, I would go just to listen to him talk because the stories he tells. So we were down at one of his events in Shangri-La, and just hearing his stories and his experiences, you learn more from that sometimes than anything.
Oh yeah. But, and the great thing about Tony is that, like you said, if he doesn't know the answer, he knows who knows it, and he has an interest in getting you the answer. It's not just I don't know, so we'll just move on. Like, he's going to find you 2 days later, or he's going to call you later and say, hey, I got this answer for you, and he's just excited about figuring out as you are. Like, that's one thing I love about Tony.
He's done that before for me. Is we were just talking to, this is 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe longer than that. But he gives everyone his cell phone number. So he's like, just call me anytime. And I was like, well, some people say that, but they don't mean it. They're like, but I did have a question, and it was kind of I didn't know how to answer or where to go for the answer. So I was like, well, let me shoot him a text and just say, hey, if you've got a minute, this is my question. Text went out, and it might have been a split second later from after it actually got sent to my phone's ring. I was like, oh, there he is. Hello. Like, it really is you. and it was a similar situation. He's like, we were talking about it. He goes, man, he goes, you know what? I don't have any direct experience with that. He goes, you know who does? So-and-so. He goes, do you know them? I said, I don't. He goes, okay, I'll make the introduction. No problem. He said, and so made the introduction. He goes, hey, Joe's got a great question about this. And I thought you probably have some experience in this. And sure enough, they did. And so to your point, and he's excited throughout the whole thing about making this connection and making sure that I knew the answer. And anyway, so great asset.
Yeah, great asset. And that's I see that as kind of our industry as a whole. You know, especially the last few years is the want to share the knowledge with each other and the want to talk to each other. And I mean, even if it's something as simple as, you know, finding the common, you know, pain that you've got going on, or the common issue you have going on, and saying, oh, wow, someone shares in that, you know. So that's what I love about this industry. That I think makes this industry unique is how much, you know, I just met you at a trade show, but I genuinely care about what's happening with your company that's 2,000 miles away, that, you know, I'm never going to see again if I don't want to, but I want to.
Sure.
You know?
Well, it's because I think one thing about the fence family, the fence folks, is that we all want to know, or at least the people I've met and surround myself with, we all want to know how you do things and relate it to myself, right? So one of my things, I love walking on fence lots, let me see your operations, just so I could take that one or two tidbits, right? Like so we've got some pipe racking here that I picked up walking another fence company's lot. I was like, hey, where did that come from? Like, I know we need racking. We've built a lot of our own, but in this scenario, we were putting up some heavy pipe, and I'm not saying anything about us, but I wouldn't trust my welds to hold this. So, like, where did you get that racking? Oh, you've got to talk to this person, and you go there. It's just picking up little tidbits, right? Or in inventory, like, hey, interesting. So this is how you categorize your inventory. This is how you keep some of it in a shop, keep some of it in a warehouse. How do you decide which goes where? That can happen. Maybe not these shop walks, but conversations like this can happen at any one of these shows.
Yeah.
For example, so FenceTech Nashville, inventory management has been a conversation on a lot of people's minds lately, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I don't know how I got in this circle. We were talking, and then people just, this is how it happens. But people walk by, and then here you go, oh, you're talking about this? Well, hello, I'm curious about this as well. And so in short order, you've got a group of 5, 6, 7, 8 people going, yeah, no kidding. I've used this. That doesn't work. I've used this. That doesn't work. And so Cannon Johnson turned me on to software called Fishbowl, something that we're going to implement this fall, and which could be the answer to industry, or the answer to our inventory problems in the industry. I don't know. Hopefully they're the answer to my problems, because I'd sure love to use something besides QuickBooks. But anyway, but that happened on the show floor while just people are walking by, and it's just, that's the sort of thing that can happen when you get a group of fence folks together. Is we all like to problem solve our problems, but also help you problem solve your problems. And it's something that you can't do virtually. Yeah, you really need to be there, to be in the room, to have these conversations organically, but walk away with a solution. I came back, I was like, guys, I've got it. This is what we need to look into. And
you just gave me something to Google as soon as we're done here, and probably a phone call to make on Monday.
Yeah, it's worth a look. So right now we're on board. We've signed the paperwork, but we are not starting anything in the summer. It's like there is no chance this is going to get the proper attention it needs. Yeah. So we're looking, I think September is when we're going to start onboarding, and then the idea is we'll roll it out in December. But so I was talking to, like I said, Ken Johnson, and talked to a few members of his team. It seems like the solution we're looking for. So
yeah, that's, like I said, I'm Googling it. I just wrote it down. So
that came from a show. Yeah, that was it was a problem in my mind, but it wasn't something that I was like, all right, I'm going to go to FenceTech and I'm going to solve this problem. Right? It was just like, we'll see what happens. We'll see what what conversations I'm a part of. So these are the things that can also happen at West Coast Fence Show, because there's going to be a lot of fence folks in the same room on the same property for several days. We're all going to walk away with a little bit of more knowledge.
Yeah. That's the idea. That's why we do it.
So, but you also have, so you're talking about education also being automation heavy. So
Yeah.
it sounds like there's a good amount of education for automation and access control, which, talking about trending topics, is something that's on a lot of people's mind, is transitioning. So one of the courses is from residential to commercial.
Yeah.
Right. Which, a huge topic as well. But when you get into commercial, you start getting into more of the access control automation. When you get these bid requests, it's going to be the whole perimeter. Beautiful, but it's also going to be the access control. Sometimes it's definitely going to be automation. Sometimes access control is by others or something like that. But so these two things go hand in hand. If you're getting into the commercial world, you're going to get into automation. Even if, so some guys I talk to that are getting into, they're like, well, we're just going to sub it out. We've got some great guys in our town that do great work, and we're not going to get into it. Great. That if you're comfortable with that, then that's the way to go. But you should at least have a foundational understanding.
Yeah.
Right. So that when you're in these pre-bid meetings and they're talking about loop placement, or they're talking about when the automation goes in as compared to when the roads go in. If you had a foundational knowledge, say, hey, it's going to be asphalt, we could probably put preform loops in ahead of time. That way we're not saw cutting or doing any of this. At least having foundational knowledge. Now, we won't be the ones to put them in. We've got, we've got contractors we team up with that they do great work, but at least I know, hey, this is the option, right? So we can submit an alternate just to see if you guys even want to explore that. But the fact that I know it's an alternate and I know how it works puts me a little bit further in the game.
Yeah, and as a salesman being in that room or talking to a customer at their house or whatever, even if you don't, like I said, don't do the automation, having the basic knowledge of how everything works makes you a better sales representative.
The design and layout. I mean, if you've got the design and layout, you can at least tell the customer, here's some realistic expectations, right? So you can look at an opening and say, well, you're not getting a cantilever gate in here because it's at the edge of the fence. So we need, the way this situation works, we don't have enough room to roll it. So, but I know here's some options for you. We can look at a swing, or we can look at a vertical pivot. I don't know what it is, and it might just be our region. Everyone right now is obsessed with vertical pivot gates. I mean, that's the majority of what we're seeing bid for, like municipal. So we were just awarded a project they're building a whole new police compound, like a headquarters type situation, and that was on the initial. And then they got bids back. And like, well, we would like to see an alternate for. I bet you would. Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, municipal. Everyone municipal is, and that could just be architects and engineers sat in on a lunch and learn where vertical pivots were talked about, and because they're great. If you've got the bank account for them, they don't take up a lot of space. You can put a pretty large opening, but in a pretty small, compact area of land, right? Because you don't have to swing it back, you don't have to swing it open. It just goes up in the air. Beautiful, but there is typically a price tag associated with that feature.
It's surprising. It's not something that I see a whole lot of, but like you said, it seems like every season or every summer there's that thing that everybody wants, the new thing that, like I said, someone sat in on a meeting and word got around. I know a couple of years ago there was a particular set of hinges that all of a sudden every school district wanted on every one of their gates, and so it's interesting. There's always that big thing that comes in the next, every summer, it seems like.
Sure. Well, and like I said, we don't do the gate access. We have a contractor we team up with. They do great work, but I can at least say, yes, we can do that. But have you also thought about this and this? Because there's some cost considerations and design considerations. So I say all that to roll this back into there's going to be access control, automation, education there at the West Coast Fence Show. Even if you're not directly into it, if you're sitting in on the classes from going from residential to commercial, it probably is also worth sitting in on some of these automation classes just to have an idea what's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and there's classes on, on loops. Brian from was it BD Loops
Yeah.
is going to be teaching a class on loops. There's the GAD school. We also have an 811. I don't know if it's called 811 throughout, because I know in talking to Ken in Ohio, I think they call it Oops, which is I think kind of a funny name for it. But
yeah, oh, we call it Missouri One Call, but anywhere in the United States, though, if you dial 811, you get whatever it's called in your area.
Yeah, it's called, it's one of those things. It's called everything, but it's the same function to get it. But and then there's a couple classes on building safer gates with automation going to be taught by Zach Eichenberger, who he was installing in Oregon in the 90s. And he's worked his way up, and now he's at Control Products. He was at Encon forever. Tim Nordstrom, Shelby, is it Shelby Keelan? I always mess up her name. I sit on the board with her. Shelby with LiftMaster. There's a lot of experience in the room. And there's one class that I'm actually kind of excited about is the Crash and NRM roundtable. Yeah. The three guys that are leading that, there's like 60 plus years in the industry between those three guys that, and it's just going to be a discussion, just bouncing ideas and talking about it.
Well, and again, like just the direction our world seems to be heading, you're going to be seeing more and more of this, because I used to think, whether we're talking about ornamental fence, that the fencing itself is anti-ram, anti-penetration. I was like, listen, I'm in Springfield, Missouri. The chance that anybody's going to ask for any of this, near zero, right? Near zero. But as we continue to grow, and as we just I say just got Amazon. So Amazon put a distribution facility here 2 years ago, I guess. And with Amazon comes all the Amazon followers, right? So you get all these other companies that want to be near an Amazon distribution facility. And so, but they're bringing with them higher security standards.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden we are having conversations about impasse systems or about just whatever. There was one bid we took a look at. They're asking for the automated bollards.
Yeah.
To where their guard shack would have a gate, but also have the automated bollards. I was like, what are you guys doing in here? That we're not supposed to ask questions, but I've got a few. But all of this comes into play. Even if your neck of the woods, even if you're not looking at it yet, there's a good chance you're going to be looking at it in the future.
Yeah, no, we had out where we are, we have a lot of military bases. We have Silicon Valley. We have, and like you said, I don't know what they're doing in there, but they don't want people in. That's for sure. Right.
Yeah.
So there's definitely it's coming to an area near you.
Sure,
most likely.
And again, knowing what the options are. Right. So if you had a company that says, "Hey, we've been having trouble with this or that," knowing, say, "Hey, I sat in on a roundtable, and one of the things they were discussing was X, Y, and Z. Let me get you some more information on this, because this is available, or a version of what you're wanting is out there. Let me dive into this. Let me, I remember so-and-so spoke on this, so let me reach out to them and see if they can lead me in the right direction." Being in the room typically gives you just a tremendous amount of value just from being there.
Oh yeah, just the knowledge of it, and and there's, you could have somebody that look something up and saw the price tag and say, "I don't even want to explore it," but then they bring it up to you and say, "Well, there's other options there. There's not just it's not a one size fits all thing. So we can definitely look at some of the options and maybe bring that price tag down a little bit." So
absolutely. Let me give you a good, better, best, and the best might be that top of the line option, but better might be what you're looking for.
Yep.
Or just making sure that they know what the options are, puts you a step ahead of the guy that goes, "I don't have any idea what you're talking about." Yeah. You want what?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a thing. The next guy comes through, he goes, "It is a thing." Now, I hope you're sitting down when I send you the number, because anything's possible with the right amount of money. So, but being that guy to say there are options here, I sat in on a class where we're talking about loops, and here's something that I know loops can do. That maybe it's not conventional, and I know, BD loops loops in general. BD loops is a great solution. But I'm sure there's going to be some things talked about in the class that will pique somebody's interest.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about the educational series. What's the cost to add that on to like a show ticket?
But nothing to the people showing up. All the education outside of they are doing the GADS course, the 2-day course.
Sure.
That has some accreditation.
I was going to say that's like an accreditation, like a certification cost sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So there is a cost for that, but other than that, all the classes are free.
So they're just included with you show up and you can sit in on any class you want.
Yeah, we encourage people to when you register online, you can register for the classes as well.
Okay.
We encourage that mainly so we know how much coffee and how many danishes to have in the room, that kind of stuff.
Well, what size room to put people in?
Yeah, and I mean, if the fire marshal is going to get mad at us because we oversold a room, or
Sure.
I know in 21 there are a couple classes that were standing room only. So it's not necessary. We're not limited to the chairs in the room.
That's been a trend lately. So OKC, so FinTech OKC and FinTech Nashville both. I stopped in on a few classes and they were all standing room.
Yeah.
So I think so. Not only register for these, so they make sure to put them in the right rooms that can accommodate the seating or at least the capacity. But you're also going to want to get there early to where you can have a seat.
Yeah, if you're interested in sitting down.
Yeah, fair. That's
if
fair.
you don't mind standing, then that's fine. But
yeah, show up about 15 minutes before. There might be places to stand, maybe.
Yeah. And one thing we did change is we kind of rerouted the last year for people to get classes. They had to actually walk through the show floor, which it caused some issues just as far as just people moving stuff around. You got forklifts going on. You got all these things moving,
sure,
and people walking through. So now it's off to the side, so it's its own dedicated space for the education. So
now, when is the education going on? Is it during the actual show floor, or is there a period of time set aside for education?
It's Thursday and Friday. There'll be some testing done on Saturday, I believe.
That's for the GADS.
That's I had the education schedule pulled up too, but now it's gone. But yeah, Thursday and Friday is when most of it's going on.
Nice.
We try and do as much as we can to not take people off the show floor and offer things to just because there's it's 2 days, so it's a lot of time, but it's really not a lot of time. So we want to
it's never enough time.
No, it never is.
That's always the way. As I've never got this plan to work before, but I always go in with a plan like, all right, I'm going to walk the show floor part of a day. I'm just going to get a layout. I'm going to know who's here, and I'm going to note on. I usually get the layout map, and I'm going to know. Okay, here's who I want to talk to. No, I get halfway through the show floor, maybe, and I'm like, oh, I got it. Now they're telling I've got to leave. They're physically removing me from this room because it's shut down. We got to go. All right, well, I guess I'll start again tomorrow. And you never get all of the show floor done in a part of a day. No,
you never. Yeah, you never. As much as you want to plan things out, it never seems to work out. But that's another thing with our show. We're going fully kind of automated now. So there's actually a West Coast Fence Show app that when you're at the show, you can download the app and it'll help know who's there, know where people are.
Okay.
There's actually chat options in there. So if you connect with somebody, there's ways to share your information on there so that, if you meet with somebody, you can exchange information right there through the app. So there's
nice.
We're really looking forward to that. It's new, so I'm not sure exactly, how in depth it gets, but we're going to all figure it out together here in
That's right.
about 60 days. So
we're all coming into the high tech era.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not.
Yes. Yeah, it's here. It's here to stay.
That's right. Let's say hello to a few people. Craig Eubanks is here. What's up, Craig? Good morning, gentlemen. Morning, Craig. Craig hosts a show on Fridays, Fence Guy Friday, where you can hop on, talk to Craig about all things fencing industry. You should definitely check that out.
Awesome.
Noah Devine says, what's up, Joe, Luke, and Fence fam? Hope everyone's having a great weekend and killing it this season. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that. Roger's here. Hey, Joe, Luke, and the rest of the Fence fam. Hello, Roger. And we had somebody... Martin Lee says, hey, Joe, from over the pond in Durham, UK.
Oh,
hello, Martin.
Good morning.
Appreciate you joining us for sure.
Is it morning there?
Yeah. Afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon.
It's afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So let's talk about logistics about getting in and out of Reno, because it's easier than I thought it would be. I don't know what I was thinking, what I was expecting, but it's pretty seamless. Get right in and out of there.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten easier over the years. I know that years ago, Southern California was there was no direct flights, so I'm assuming that's, I'm sorry, I'm from California. We tend to think that we're the only place in the world. So
Sure.
But yeah, no, from what I understand, I mean, you can't fly, straight into Reno, but straight from Denver or most of the hubs will take you straight into Reno.
Yep.
So it's definitely gotten better. It's definitely, and I know that everybody in Southern California isn't. It's not as hard as it used to be, because I'm flying straight from Reno to LA right after the show. So I know you can get a direct flight. But
that's what I was going to tell people. If I can get from Springfield, Missouri to Reno, Nevada with one stop, anybody can do it. It is that we go nowhere direct. Well, that's not true. We can go Denver, Atlanta, or Dallas, or Chicago direct. That's it. You want to go anywhere else, you're going through one of those places. But yeah, it seemed like all the flight options routed me through Denver. So it was a pretty short trip.
Yeah, no, and it's just a warning, coming into Reno is a little bumpy. if you're flying in, if you've never flown into Reno before, it's normal. The first time I flew into Reno, I was terrified, but it's perfectly normal.
Par for the course. All right.
Yeah,
we'll expect it.
But no, it's travel to Reno has gotten so much easier over the years that it's just like flying anywhere else, really.
Sure.
So
very good. Hey, so like I said, guys, link in westcoastfentshow.com. Link in the comments. However you want to get there. While you're there, you can register for the show. Do that first. But then also for the golfing experience, if you'd like to, or the golfing outing, if you'd like to do that. Hotels, book your hotel, even if you've already registered. Yeah. Book your hotel. I mean, you don't have to. You could pay more later, but if you'd like to pay less, booking now would be a good idea.
Well, that's a reminder we always give people. Just because you registered for the show doesn't mean you registered for your hotel room. There's been that question a few times, and or the people that show up and go, I signed up. Well, sign up for the show.
For the show. You also need to stay somewhere.
Yeah, you need to sleep somewhere. So
you can also sign up for sponsors sponsorships as well.
Sponsorship opportunities. That alternate Thursday, the downtown axe throwing and escape room is going to be up there. I would say probably middle of the week.
Sure.
As well as the additional classes that we just added, 3 additional classes. Those will be up there as well.
Very nice. So, guys, if you haven't made plans already, make plans to attend the West Coast Fence Show first week in September.
First week in September. The 5th.
I'm trying to figure the dates.
Yeah, 5th through 7th. 5th is Thursday. Yeah, 6th, 7th. Yep.
Gotcha. I always have to do that mental math. I'm like, okay, the 5th, but is it the first week? Yeah, it's got to be the first week.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it screws you up. The first is on a Saturday, and then you screws everything up.
That's exactly what I'm trying to go through in my mind. Is like, is this a weird month, or is this I don't know. Check it early September. Check this out in early September. It's going to be a heck of a good time. Great facility, great things to do, all sorts of different things to do. So be sure to check it out. Lots of educational opportunities that are included with registration. Stop by, check everything out. With the exception of if you want to get certified, accredited, there's going to be some costs associated with probably the testing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, with the testing on it, and also there's on Thursday night where both of those social groups will come together. The golfers and non-golfers. We have an appreciation dinner where they have there's a club there at the Peppermill, and it's we rent out the entire club, and so it's everybody gets to go up there and mingle, and that's always a really fun thing to do the day before the show opens. Where you get to kind of get to know people, and so you're not walking into the show without any familiar faces, And if anybody sees me there, like, come up and say hi, come talk.
Agreed.
Agreed. More than happy to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think any of the fence folks are going to be that same way, because I'm sure everyone had. So I remember my first fence show, my first fence tech is walking in. It seems like a big. I don't know what I was expecting. It was a massive room. right? It's always bigger than you think. I don't know, but yeah, and I didn't know anybody, so I just kind of like wandered around, talked to some vendors like that we knew, that sort of thing, and I was like, I guess I leave now. I don't know. Don't be that guy, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had known then what I know now. Like I could have walk up to the registration table and say, start a conversation there, or like I said, just walk through and just tell somebody how good they have it with the digging condition. Where are you from? Oh, yeah. Well, I wish I was from there.
Yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't believe what it's like in Missouri. I don't know, but always good ways to start conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, don't be shy. Come on up, talk and we'll figure things out.
Absolutely. So, guys, make plans to attend. Put it on your calendar. I would love to see you guys there. Always love to chat with you guys. Come up, say hello. Always here for that. Now, Luke, I also so we're at the hour mark, but before we wind up, I also want to talk about your role in chapters and like a local region, not local chapter, regional chapters.
Yeah.
Because that's something you're also very active in.
Yeah, very active. That's something everybody, kind of has their passion, and it's, I'm very passionate about the industry, about education, but, my big thing is just because of my personal experience is the chapters. I've made lifelong friends, in my chapter meetings. Like I said, I've been to, 40 plus chapter meetings in my years doing it. And every single one of it, I've come out with something that helps me in the business world and my personal life. I mean, you make such good connections on a local level, with, that guy that you just see his fence sign, or you just see him at a job walk or something. And you're like, I don't know about this guy. For example, I had a guy who was that guy. I, wasn't quite sure about him. And I met him at a couple of local shows or local meetings. And then I ended up having, in my early 30s, had a minor heart procedure done, and he showed up at the hospital with this big giant 6-foot giraffe balloon, and this guy's supposed to be my competitor. He's supposed to be, but experiences like that are so great, and so I think the chapter is very unique in that it gives you that opportunity to really make bonds with people that are regionally close to you. Geographically close to you.
And you never know when you might bump into somebody, or when you might need a hand. Right? We had a guy. This has been about a year ago. He's from a different state, but he's in the Midwest AFA chapter, and they are doing work for a franchise, and where they just do all the work for that particular franchise. They travel and do it. So they called through the office and said, hey, so and so is calling for us. Okay, yeah. He said, hey, I've got guys down there in your area doing work at this place. They need like the layout changed. They need a few posts. They need some caps and some fittings. Can you help out with that at all? Do you have them available? So, yeah, absolutely. So I've actually, for once in our life, I've actually got a guy right now that's free that could actually run them over there. So your guys don't have to try to navigate through a strange town to find us. So like my guy knows right where that's at. I'll send them, no problem. But that connection was made through, we had been to these Midwest AFA functions. We'd been to the dinners, been to the golf, and stuff like that, to where he knew, hey, Springfield, I know a guy. I got a friend in Springfield. I can pick up the phone. We don't have to do any of the introductions on here's who I am, here's what I'm doing, here's why I'm in your city building this fence. It's just, hey, I've got a need. I know you're local. Can we help each other out? Yeah, absolutely. But you never know when that's going to happen. Yeah, no, and that's what's great about the chapters, and seeing how these chapters, they serve each other, they serve their community. It's always just been just really big for me. The chapter experience, the getting to know the people in the industry, it's second to none to me. And if someone is interested in the in being involved in the AFA at eventually, then the chapter level is a great place to start, because you get your feet wet and learn kind of the workings of a board and all those things. And that's where the AFA pulls its leadership from, is from those chapters. So. Absolutely. Well, and it's a great resource for meeting local contractors or just contractors in your region. I mean, we've got a couple guys here in our market that are at those same meetings, and we don't get into fist fights or anything. Yeah. And it's great. It's great. But also, we'll have speakers come in to talk about I mean, they're probably relevant everywhere, but they're relevant in our region, right? Because I mean, we know, hey, our region is, boy, this is gonna put me on the spot: Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. Um, I'm missing one. Iowa.
Iowa. Okay.
Yes.
I think
Iowa.
I think
Yep.
think you're good there. That's
Yep. I think that's it. I don't know. Someone's going to get a hold of me here in a little while. Daniel is our region's president, so he'll get a hold of me here in a little bit and let me know who I forgot. But I think that's
got
everybody.
this one county out here.
Right. Yep. But we'll talk about things that are relevant in our area. Right. And to your point, you had mentioned like service and being there for the community. It's also nice doing regional event or regional service projects that impact our local area, our region.
Yeah.
Right. So we had some tornadoes rip through Oklahoma. And so we were able to step in as a chapter and we had chapter members in that community. And so we're able to kind of all band together, direct some resources that way, put in some service hours, help our community. Right.
Yeah.
It's not local to me in Springfield, but it's local to me in the Midwest in my chapter. And that connection probably would have never been made if I hadn't been a part of the Midwest. So,
and with that effort too, I know that Daniel reached out to some other chapters and some other chapters from, clear across the country helped out and chipped in a little bit. So,
absolutely.
That's what I love about it. That it's just a family. It really is. Like everybody says fence fam, and there really is a fence family.
Oh, it is. Oh, 100% is. Yeah. Well, in that instance, yeah. So the Carolinas chapter they reached out to Daniel and just said, hey, this went on in your backyard. We'd love to help. And it's just, it's such a neat thing to be a part of. Yeah. It really, really is.
Yeah, no. And the things that the Carolinas chapter has done for years now with Purple Heart Foundation has been, awesome. I know last year that the Purple Heart Foundation had a project in Texas they needed to get done, and Carolina and Texas worked together to get that handled. And it's what gets done on the chapter level is just kind of mind blowing to me, that the way that people can come together and get these things done. And
absolutely,
so yeah.
If you guys are in an area and you don't think you have a chapter, you do. You you can reach out to AFA and just say, hey, here's where I am. I'd love to be connected with my region chapter and figure that out. There's some regions that the chapters have been not as active, but lately they're firing up. We were on a call, it's been a month and a half ago with Chicagoland chapter. Also, I see Shane Catton as firing up the Indy chapter.
They killed it their first meeting. They did a great job.
I kind of want to move there. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what it's like. I don't know anything else besides what I see in what they've got going on. It's golf, it's go-karts, it's like all sorts of crazy stuff. Like I kind of just want to go over there, like go move up there. Winters are not great, I hear, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just be a fencer during the summer.
There you go.
We'll find out. But
yeah, I mean, and Chicago, the things that Kevin's doing over there, like it's really inspiring to see all these because this last kind of cycle, at the beginning of the year, we had a lot of new chapter presidents. Over half the chapter presidents are new chapter presidents cycled in, and seeing the enthusiasm of this group of chapter presidents coming in is just been unreal. It's been,
well, it all ties back to you get out what you put in too, right? So putting into these chapters, it reaps massive dividends.
Yeah.
Right. Strong chapters are good for the chapter members. They're good for the association as a whole, but they're also good for the local community. They're good all the way around. I think guys are figuring that out. And, I've talked before about just generationally, in my dad's generation, it was always like, us versus the world and we can figure it out on our own. And it seems like my generation, which is a generation that's coming into either leadership roles or ownership roles in companies, we're all figuring out that our secrets are all pretty much the same or versions of the same thing. And it's actually in our best interest to help everyone because occasionally we need help right? So just like we can help some guys that need fittings, we've needed that same help in the past, and our local competitors were there to help us because they've been in that situation, right? So all of this relates to also figuring out, hey, we can do this on the regional level as well. Is we can help folks, we can have a support network there for us regionally if we need it. And I think that's where a lot of the excitement, a lot of the energy is coming from. Is we're finding out that, I've said it, a rising tide raises all the ships, and we're learning that we can help that outcome, right? We can contribute to the rising sea, whether it's through our local chapter or serving on the national chapter or the national board, or just getting involved actually makes this a better community and a better industry to work in. And it's better for everybody.
Absolutely. And there's people that I've met in our area that have never been to a chapter meeting or have never done these things, but they sure have a lot to say about it.
Sure.
And it's like, well, why don't you come and give us that input? Why don't you help us out? And, so, if you're somebody that, maybe is a member, but doesn't necessarily want to get involved, that's great. But I encourage you to, and if you don't like the direction of something, at your chapter level, come in and be heard. And, we're not going to sit there and shout you down. We want the input. We want to hear it.
Well, and sometimes the change hasn't been made just because it hasn't been suggested. Right? Like, so for the Midwest chapter, it seems like the bulk of the membership is in like the Oklahoma area or surrounding states. So a lot of what we do is in Oklahoma. Well, then we heard feedback that said, hey, it would sure be great if you guys came to Nebraska once in a while, or came to Kansas, or I wouldn't mind it coming to Missouri. But before that was made, it was just assumed like, well, it's always kind of been in Oklahoma. It's easy for folks to get in and out of. It's reasonably priced. Most everything's reasonably priced. And until somebody's like, well, I sure wish you'd come here. Okay. Well, now we're putting plans in place to where we are hosting a meeting in Nebraska so that people in the northern part of our region don't have to drive across 2 states to get to the outing. Okay. Your point is the right one, is just make those comments known rather than kind of grumbling in the background. Well, they never come to my neck of the woods. Well, have you asked? I don't know.
Well, it's like with the West Coast Fence Show, we always done a golf outing. Everybody's always played golf. And I hate to say it because it but I had this blind spot of like, what are the other people doing? Sure. And we had 2 new chapter presidents come in and say, hey, what else is there to do on that day? I don't know. It's Reno. Figure it out. Well, why don't we organize something for them so we all can go to the same place? Oh, that's a great idea. So, sometimes you just you have a blind spot that you don't realize is there, and you need that voice in the room to come in and say, hey, you're missing this.
Sure.
So I encourage people to come to any chapter event that they can, even if it's just to sit in the back of the room and listen, because, like I said, I've gone to 40 plus and I've walked away with something every single time.
Well, and you're in a room of like-minded individuals, right? To your point, no one's shouting you down because most of the room's going to go, huh, yeah, that does make sense, actually. We should definitely consider this.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's been tried. And here's the experience then, willing to try it again if we think the experience might be different this time. But even if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can reach out to chapter presidents. Like these, Daniel Brown in our chapter is an incredibly approachable guy. And that seems to be pretty consistent with the other chapters, that, an email, hey, here's a thought, here's a concern, I'd like to talk about it. All of these folks are more than willing to spend time talking with you because we all understand, like, we're better together. And we can just because it's always been done this way doesn't mean it always needs to be done this way, sort of thing.
Yeah, and nobody took on the role as a chapter president because they didn't want to do something. Everybody takes on the role of chapter president because they want to help, they want to be involved, they want to, work with other people. Like that's kind of what that role attracts. And, so if who your chapter president is, awesome, reach out to them. If you don't know who your chapter president is, you can go to the American Fence Association website and all of the leadership's there, all the chapter presidents, the board, all of us, we're all listed there, our emails, our phone numbers, who we are, who we work for. So, I definitely encourage anybody who has not been to a chapter event to just try it out.
Yeah.
I think most people will be pleasantly surprised.
Well, and that seems to be something that chapters are pretty good at too, is throwing nice events, throwing fun events, right? So, well, we'll do a golf tournament. Memphis Tri-State puts on a golf tournament that is exceptional.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got guys with or you've got groups with events, sporting clay shoots. That's big. There's several on the East Coast that have just big sporting clay shoots.
Yeah,
I mean, there's always what's that?
We do one out here too.
Yep.
Every December we do one.
Yeah, so it's putting on fun events is kind of one thing that we do fairly well too. So
yeah, I've got a couple of events that I haven't been to yet. The Memphis Tri-State Golf Tournament as a golfer, that's something I definitely want to get to in the next couple of years. But the Carolinas in the Sea looks amazing. Every year their event looks absolutely just like so much fun, and I want to get out there, but they always seem to have it the weekend before or right after or on the same weekend that our chapter does something. So so I've got to find that year where the schedules kind of allow it. But
the stars align just right to where it makes it possible.
Yeah, and some of the things that the Texas chapter does, they do some family friendly stuff. The Pacific Northwest, they do their big summer fun event every year, and that thing's a lot of fun too. So I mean, yeah, you're right. The definitely good at putting together fun events.
So you're not just showing up for a meeting, right? There's typically a meeting involved, but you could show up and have a great time just by being there, right?
Yeah.
Just by being involved in it. Like I said, if you're in the Indy chapter area or you're within driving distance, you ought to go to one of those events, because if there's one thing I know about Shane Catton, he knows how to have a good time.
Yeah.
So, but it's not unique, is I guess my point is that no matter where you're at, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's putting together events, and you come out knowing people that you wish you would have known sooner.
Yeah. And you'll meet people at the meeting, or whatever the education is, you might pull something out of that, but a lot of the connections are made after the meeting. When you're if you're doing Top Golf, or you're doing whatever it is that you're doing, you're at a restaurant or a bar. I've heard some of the greatest stories and greatest little tidbits of just little informational nuggets, just sitting at a bar with 5 or 6 guys and having a conversation, and not even participating in the conversation, just sitting there in the circle. There was a time 15 years ago that it was my dad and it was 5 or 6 other owners from the area, and they were just talking, and I was just sitting there listening to some of the stories and just bookmarking all these little comments that were made for the future. And it's just I think there's nothing like it, the chapter experience. And I think that I definitely encourage anybody to get involved with their chapter and to at least go to the events and check them out.
Absolutely.
Worst thing that'll happen is you'll have a good time.
That's the thing, is if there's one thing fence guys know how to do, it's have a pretty good time.
Yep.
All right. Well, Luke, let's start landing the plane. We're hour 18 into this. So if you guys have any last minute questions, drop them in the comments below. Luke, thank you so much for being available just to come on and talk about West Coast Fence Show. There's going to be a lot of things to do at West Coast Fence Show. Easy to get into, easy to sign up. Everything's online. Great time. It's a great time of the year. So it's going to be early September. Should be beautiful out there.
Yep. Absolutely. And if anybody has any problems with the website or getting any information, my information is on the website. It's on the AFA. I mean, you can find me. So, sure. Definitely, if you're having any issues, reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. I think I've fielded more West Coast Fence Show calls in the last 2 weeks than I have, fence phone calls. So.
Absolutely. So guys, reach out if you got any questions. I mean, Luke is a great guy to talk to. Like I said, Luke, I appreciate you coming on. I know Saturday mornings aren't the most convenient time, so I appreciate you making time for us.
Yeah, we're fence guys. We're up early anyway. So
well, that's it. You kind of know when you're talking to the contractor side of the industry, because you're like, listen, it starts at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Like, oh, Well, so I could have breakfast and coffee and read the paper a little bit, and then I'll come on. Now that sounds like a great morning.
Yeah. Oh, an afternoon show, huh?
Yeah. Gosh, what am I going to do until then? I mean, yeah, sure, that's fine. But, all the same, I do appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, and look forward to seeing you out there in September.
I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Guys, like I said, be sure to jump on, register, come out and see us. It's going to be a great time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're listening to the podcast, I really appreciate you making it all the way to the end. If you'd like to watch this live, participate in the conversation in real time, check us out. Search Joe Everest on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, anywhere you watch videos that have live video, there's a good chance we're going to be there. For now, Joe Everest, fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors. We'll see you next time.